Welcome back to the Growth Hacking Culture podcast. We have all been told that if we just had more willpower, or if we could just survive the first 24 first days of a new routine, we would be successful. We are told that company culture is something that you write on a wall or print in a handbook and everybody is going to follow. But my guest today argues that most of what we think we know about habits is not only wrong, it is actually sabotaging your growth. Christoph Merrill is known as the habit freak. He's a strategist who looks at the intersection of adversity, clarity, and discipline. He doesn't just help individuals just get their morning right, he helps organizations move past the fluff of mission statements to build cultures rooted in concrete, repeatable actions. Today, we are deconstructing the myth of habit formation, why your time management training is likely failing, and how the simple question, how does done well looks like, can transform a workplace. Christoph, welcome to the show and beautiful to have you.
Wow, Ivan, thank you so much. I am so grateful to be here. Thank you. That was a heck of an introduction, my friend.
And you know why? The reason why I wanted to have somebody just to challenge a lot of the beliefs that I have about habit formation. I still remember, maybe it was like 12 years ago, having like by luck, I spent a lot of time reading, and there was some research by a guy that back in the days was claiming that he was the originator of the habit formation methodology. The name of this guy is J.B. Fox. And I remember
Hmm.
that it was a kind of um, a little bit academical because back in the days he didn't write any books. He wasn't like showing his face in social media whatsoever. But I got fascinated that somebody took the time to understand what makes us change basically something that we don't want to be. And I found it I was quite passionate about the topic. And then there was plenty of books 10 years ago that came about the topic, rooted more or less in the same methodology, changing words here and there, and maybe having like a little bit tricks around. And I love discussing about the topic. And now I wanted to more to discuss it in the area of, can we change the workplace because sometimes it sucks. And Chris, so my first question to you is that we often hear that habit formation is a test of willpower. So if you want it, you
Hmm.
can do it. And we hear that bullshit from a lot of social media gurus around there that they have been successful because they wanted it so much. And by the way, sometimes we take some words from out there, like Elon Musk said, and everybody says, "Oh, if Elon Musk could do it, I can also be rich, by the way, and I could also have magnificent ideas." And we believe that. In your experience, why is relying on willpower actually the biggest misunderstanding of how habits are formed?
So great question. Um, I think you nailed it in part of your explanation. Bullshit. So here's what I mean by that, right? Um, Willpower is something. It's an energy level, right? Like I can. How many people have decided that they're going to make New Year's resolutions, and then come January 2nd, we're not even like, I wish I was making this up. We're not even talking like January 10th. They've quit their entire resolution, willpower, because guess what? Most of the time, and this is kind of this is my life's work, right? Like this is what I focus on. This is what I do. This is what I speak about. And I commissioned a PhD level research project. It's going to be the largest that's ever been done. That is focused on the state of workforce habits. Now, here's where it gets fun. So, um, I think most people have good intentions. I really do. I think most people want to be better. I think most people want to do their best. Sure, there's a group of the population that would just rather kind of phone it in and they don't care. But I'm talking to those people that like actually, progress or kind of being a better human is part of like, what they want to do. Habit books in general. The problem that I have with habit books, the information is great. I have heard and I have known people who have, stopped smoking, who have started running, who have, gotten their health into, all of these things. So I don't want to discount habits in general, but what I do want to maybe come running in head on into is that most habit books are designed for calm. And I think calm is an absolute lie. So a normal habit book tells you, set out your clothes on Sunday night. So your clothes are just, easily, readily available. Set out your shoes, set your alarm clock, so on and so forth, right? Well, what happens when you wake up 20 minutes late because you missed your alarm? Like that's real life. That's chaos. I don't know about you, but like I very rarely live in a dream state where everything is perfect and my dog didn't throw up the night before because I happened to feed him too much crap or popcorn, which, whatever. And so therefore, the idea that I'm going to be able to get up, I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep and I'm going to wake up refreshed. Okay, those two statements don't even go together. I don't know about you. So if that's what you're like, if that's part of the system, if that's part of like how you're going to make this new habit a reality, you've already like it's almost impossible because this is what I believe. So when pressure hits, which think about it, pressure hits all the time from all different angles, from all different places. Some of it's internal, the thoughts that we think. Some of it is external. Some of it is like things that we have no control over. Some of the things we do have control over. And so when pressure hits, habits are tested, not taught. Here's what I mean by that. I think that, again, I made a goal, one goal, not 15 goals, one goal. And I only made it for 92 days. Why 92 days? Because I'm weird. And that just made sense to me, right? Like 90 days felt like, you know what? I could do anything for 90 days. But 92, we're pushing the envelope, but like, I don't want to do it forever unless I decide I do want it to do forever. So I made the goal that I was going to basically eat healthier. Now, I want to be very clear here because this is where a lot of times goals and habits get really, really out of skew. I'm going to eat healthy every single meal. I think you're kind of setting yourself up for failure there, pal, because like every single meal, like, come on, like so perfect example. I'll use myself as this example, right? I made the goal. I'm going to choose to eat healthier as often as I can. So my goal is choose to eat healthier. A couple nights ago, I had a late call by some event planners. They're hosting a big, huge event, and I'm one of the few keynote speakers that are kind of selected. They're doing committees, and so they wanted to meet my time at 10 p.m. So I chose to stay at the office all day. Right. So I usually don't eat breakfast. Then I'll eat a light lunch, and then usually I'll have a really good dinner. But because I was staying in the office, I got busy and I was focused and I didn't eat anything. And so by about a 10:45 when the meeting was over, I'm hungry. So logic kind of like at this point, my default operating system kicks in. So I leave my office, I get in the car, and I almost atomically, and I mean this like hysterically, where I kind of just drive over to my favorite drive-in restaurant because I know they're still open. And I know what I want: a double cheeseburger with extra cheese, some fries, extra crispy, and a large chocolate shake. Like that's my default before I had the goal of eating healthy. So there I am in the drive-through. and I remember my one goal. I'm choosing to eat healthy. So then I look at the menu and I choose the healthiest option. That is a success. If I make the goal, I'm never going to have a cheeseburger again. Let's be real, Ivan. I'm going to fail because I like cheeseburgers. Like they're good, right? So if we were relying on motivation, my motivation, I had zero motivation to eat healthy. I'm hungry. I mean, I haven't eaten since lunch. So motivation is great when energy is high, when conditions are perfect. But when chaos happens, that's when kind of like I basically say when pressure hits, you kind of default back to your kind of default operating system. Whatever habits you've already established, whatever you've already created, you just and you almost do it automatic, which is why I think automatic habits is another like powerful motive of what kind of person eats healthier. A healthier person, right? Like, I mean, those are tied.
Mm.
So if I can, let's say, identify as someone who eats healthier, again, I'm being very, very specific with my words. I'm not saying only eat kale salads and never have, grease or fry. Like I want to set everyone up for success and be realistic. But I can choose the healthiest option possible. What that does is I'm testing that habit. The habit is I want to eat healthier. So then I test it. I go to a restaurant. And again, I don't think you need to intentionally drive around and, pull up in drive-throughs of restaurants with, amazing smelling cheeseburgers. I don't think you need to go that far. But normal real life is going to test it already. You might wake up late and go, you know what? I'm just going to drive through and get a donut or a coffee on the way to work or whatever. And there again is another opportunity to test it.
Mm.
So that's why I think motivation is kind of garbage. Like, of course, you need to have some level of motivation to change a behavior, but motivation is not going to keep it going forever because, like, life is hard. You've got to make choices. And it's like, okay, where are we going to go from here?
I love the description that you're giving. So, and it is quite powerful because I was imagining that story. So you are saying willpower is not enough. There is
Mm-mm.
external elements that can influence. So
Yes.
life happens. There is the internal pressure that this level of stress that is going to switch your judgment mode. Probably we are humans, so if we see lights,
Mm-hmm.
we go there. By the way, let's us. This is something that kills me. Like when people think that we are perfect. No, we have more of the animal. Like we have dogs, so we know where how
Totally.
they get their focus. We exactly do the same. So if there is something
Mm-hmm.
distracting us from a specific behavior that we want to form, is going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. And by the way, what is crazy is also that there is, for instance, companies like getting subscriptions for the gym, they know that we do at the end of the year exactly.
Oh,
We
yeah.
say, I want to lose weight. Let's go get a subscription for the year. And it costs a bomb, by the way. And then
Yeah.
they know that by month three, only 10% of people would have kept going to the gym. So they get most of their income in
Mm-hmm.
such a short period of time because they know how stupid we are in terms of, yeah, we wanted it badly. But as soon as there is this effort that needs to be done, it becomes a little bit
Mm-hmm.
painful, so we drop it.
1,000. I'm surprised that it's 3 months. I bet it's shorter. I bet it's, a month. I doubt it lasts that long. And the reason I say that is because at one time in my life, I was 90 pounds heavier than I am today. 90 pounds heavier. Like I have 4 kids. three of which are good. And I never answer which one of them is good because it rotates every day. Seriously. So I have two daughters who don't even weigh 90 pounds. So like I was carrying more weight on my body than another human. Like I was challenged. Babe, you should probably go to the gym and like, start getting healthier. Okay. Like, that was a suggestion by my spouse. So what do? I drive down to the gym, I walk in, and I sign up. And they're really good. Hey, you know what? We want you, if you sign up for the 3-month program, it's this much. If you sign up for the year, it's almost free. It's like, it's almost nothing. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, I'll sign up. Let's just do month to month, which is way more expensive, right? Mm. So I go the first time, and this start and stop method happened a couple of times. I would go, and all of, I'm going to say, my internal negative demons mentally kind of like combat me. Dude, you are super fat. Well, why are you wearing those skin tight shirts at the gym? Like everybody's going to see your like bubbles, right? Like that's just gross. When you do work out, like you're super sweaty, like what's going on? People are going to think you have a problem. All of these external pressures, right? Mm. So what happens? Naturally, I invent a way not to go to the gym. You know what? I'm not feeling good today. I've got a meeting. We naturally kind of like create what I'm going to call lies. And we lie to ourselves. And so we text we text the gym. If we had like a personal trainer or whatever, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm traveling, wink, wink, not traveling, but I just want to feel better about it because I don't want to tell them like I'm kind of too weak to come in today. Like I really don't want to because I don't like how my shirt fits. Like, right? So then we don't go. I didn't go for more than 3 months. And here's the crazy part. I was too embarrassed to call because they made me, in order to cancel, you had to go in and cancel. I'd rather pay the monthly fee than have to call them and go in and cancel. It was worth 10 or 20 bucks or whatever it was a month. You know what? I had a gym membership for 3 years. 3 years that I paid for that I bet you I went 10 times. 10 times in 3 years. Because the whole the idea that I'd have to go and cancel and kind of admit like, yeah, I want to stay a fat ass. Like I want to stay large. I want to, whatever. I don't want to be healthy, whatever, their little snide words are going to be, like, are you sure you don't want to be any healthier? Cause like they're good at the marketing. I chose to completely avoid like not only the gym, but B, canceling the gym. I mean, my kids still think it's like one of their favorite stories. Yeah, our dad had a gym membership for 3 years and never went.
Chris, so they exactly use the methodology of habit formation to habit negation. In fact, they made the friction a little bit difficult so that people loses a little bit their motivation to cancel. But what I love, this story is not only you. It has happened to me. It has happened to many others, and we are ashamed of being
a little bigger than we like, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what makes the difference between someone who decides to be healthier and someone who lives being a little bit overweight? I think it is the identity. Now, let me explain it this way. So, I hate runners. And I want to be very clear. Running is my least favorite activity on planet Earth. I would rather go to the dentist, have a root canal. I'm being totally honest. Then go run a 5K. Like, nah, like it's just not my thing. However, I highly, highly respect runners. And when I mean runners, I'm talking about the identity of what a runner is, right? Because a runner will basically take their shoes on vacation, which I don't take like running shoes on vacation. Like that'd be stupid. Like I'm going to be at the beach. Why would I want to go for a run? But they do, because to them, it's not about like they're so far beyond motivation. It's become who they are as a person. It's part of their character. It's part of their identity. It's part of like, what makes them them. Is they're a runner. Every runner, so I've studied this at length. Every runner who runs the New York City Marathon, there's like a wait list. There's some form of a lottery. So you see the tens of thousands of people running, and there's probably tens of thousands of more people that would trade places with those people. I don't want to say derogatory names, but I think running is terrible. But there's people that would trade places with them to run. Here's the crazy part. They all know there's going to be a wall at some point on that marathon run. A wall, a literal, like maybe physical, their muscles cramp up and they can't move. It might be mental, it might be spiritual, it might be emotional, it might be a combination of all of those things, where they literally know at some point during the race, their brain is going to tell them with every ounce of power, stop doing this. And it's going to invent all forms of avoidance tactics, right? Oh, you might feel like all of a sudden you've got diarrhea. And so you better stop running because it's going to be bad. You're cramping and your body isn't actually cramping, but your brain will tell you you're starting to cramp in your leg. So what will your body do? It'll follow cramping. It'll tell you can't go on. Here's where I respect, and I do mean with the utmost like reverence, every one of those individuals chooses to keep going. They know the wall is there. They know they're going to run head on into something that seems impossible, but they choose to do it anyway. So that part, that identity component, that character, right? Like what do runners do? Runners run. Okay, let's flip it to the business model. What do salespeople do? Now, I want to be real clear here, because everyone would say they sell, but that's a lie. Good salespeople sell. Many people have taken a job that's a sales job because they like the possibility of the commission or the incentive or the money, and then decide not because they tried, but because they don't like. Right? This is motivation. This comes back totally to willpower or motivation. Well, I don't like cold calling. No, let's be honest. You just suck at cold calling. There's a difference, right? You don't like it because you're not good at it. So like let's peel back here, right? If I were to become a runner, which I would never will be, but let's say I did, what would I have to do? I'd have to start running not every day. Because running every day will basically like destroy your knees. Like if you just, if you're way overweight and you just start running it, you're going to like ruin stuff. So like I would need to buy the right equipment. I'd need to get the right shoes because I don't even own running shoes because like, why? I'm never going to run. So, I have very nice flats, but that's it, right? I'm a big fan of Hermes. Probably too much of a fan of Hermes shoes. I'm kind of a diva that way. They're going to be terrible to run in. So you set yourself up for success with the right equipment, and then you go run. But what happens that first day that you're running? You're going to go home and you're going to feel horrible. Like your legs are going to ache in ways that you probably have never felt before. So does that mean that does that mean you should stop and never do it again? No. So let's flip it to sales. So first day, you go out and you make some cold calls and you don't sell anything on your first day. You suck at it, which means you're kind of sore, right? Because your ego gets bruised. And does that mean that you should never, like, that you're not good at it and that you're not cut out or that you can't? No. It means that the habit of a salesperson is that they do whatever salespeople need to do. So some of them, that means cold calling. Some of that means they need to make, like in the influencer world, that means they need to make videos every day or regularly or whatever. Well, that's not easy. Like it looks easy because they do it and they get committed to it, but it definitely isn't easy, especially when you start. So how do you get over that? Well, you get over that by you do it, you get sore, and you realize that like failure is not the universe telling you you shouldn't do this.
Mm,
It's telling you you shouldn't do it this way. That's all.
mm,
So if you call, if you know, again, if you cold call somebody and you're on the phone and you're trying to sell your product or your service or your SaaS business or whatever, right? Maybe you're a founder and you're trying to get investors, and you talk to 100 people and no one is interested. Well,
mm,
you found 100 ways, hopefully, how not to say or share or disclose or sell. I would beg to differ that within that 100, if you're trying, instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to make 100 phone calls and the goal is just to get them over with, right? That is different than I'm going to attempt to sell 100 times. Do you see the intent there? It's totally different. Make 100 sales calls is different than I'm going to attempt to sell 100 times. Because, okay, I'm going to attempt. You kind of give yourself a little bit of grace where you say, you know what? I might not be the best yet. I
mm,
might not be the best today. I might not be the best this quarter. I might not be the best in the company this year. But guess what? That doesn't mean I'm going to give up. I'm gonna progressively learn, and that's where the habit of being a salesperson, like over time, you get better at doing it. So therefore, there's less friction. You
mm,
get better at doing it. You maybe enjoy a component about it. You know what? I found out that like when I tell a story about an existing customer and the success that they had, so I'm not selling anymore, right? Like I'm explaining like benefits and positive that someone that is using the service has. Well, that's all true. And I actually like that because I don't feel slimy or dirty, right?
mm,
Because some people have this preconceived notion of what selling is. Well, okay, then tell a story that sells for you. What? See, this is where habits like all of a sudden start to get fun because you've embraced the idea of I'm a salesperson. Now you could do this for almost anything, right? You could do this for I want to be a better dad.
mm,
I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better employee. I want to be so on and so forth. Well, what if you were to define what does a good husband do? You can list out a whole bunch of things, right?
mm.
The problem here is we'll list out a whole bunch of things that we do, not that we should do. This is where that parallel list comes into play. Most of what I believe about becoming a habit freak is a statement that I think is the most important statement you could ever make is who am I really and who do I want to become?
Mm,
I'll give you a perfect example. I think most people tout, puff up their chest, right? Throw their tail out like a peacock and, kind of like, yeah, look at me. And they try to explain how honest they are or how much integrity they have, right? So when pressure hits and you're speeding on the freeway and you get pulled over and the cop asks you, how fast were you going? This is pressure like you've never experienced it. Do most people lie? Or do most people, this is a moment where integrity, if integrity is the habit, right? If integrity is part of your character, you've given yourself, like you chose to speed. I'll be the first to tell you, I speed on the freeway. I totally do. I know I could get caught at any moment, right? Because like we're all kind of like going in the same direction. We're all going about the same speed, which is usually about 8 to 10 miles over. And I'm running the risk that I could be selected that day by the police officer. It's not their fault. Don't be mad at them. Be mad at yourself. But we don't be mad at ourselves, right? We're so mad. Well, that guy was going way faster. How come you didn't? And here's where it gets fun. This is all in justification, so we don't have to admit we were speeding.
mm.
Like, see how this like this identity, like our mind will create lies. It will create deflections. It will create all sorts of scenarios. So we don't have to say, do you know how fast you were going, son? Yeah, I was actually going 84 and a 70. How much is that bad boy going to be? How much is that ticket going to like just the truth. No lie, no try to spin, no legal like, well, if I, no. If you're honest, then be honest. If you speed, you're going to get caught eventually at some point. So when you get pulled over, don't be mad. Don't be angry with the officer that pulled you over. Simply acknowledge, you know what? I chose to speed and I was going, oh crap, I was going 79 in a 60. Oh boy, how bad is this going to be? Now, you acknowledge, because I've done this, because I've been pulled over. I'll give you a perfect example. My kids and I were going, we bought a brand new boat. We drove down to a place in Utah called Lake Powell. It's one of the most picturesque lakes in the world. The red rock and the lake, it's gorgeous, right? I'm habitual, very, very habitual. So my kids know this. It's super funny. It doesn't bother me at all. I usually listen to techno. I know it doesn't fit, but I love techno music. And I usually find one song that I will listen to forever, on repeat, forever, like just indefinitely, right? Until I get bored of it, then I'll find a new song. So we're driving down to Lake Powell with the new boat. And I had just found a new song maybe a day or two before that. And my kids had woken up from their nap. And I was like, you guys got to listen to this. And I cranked it really loud. And the louder it was going and the beats per minute were going, what do you think happened to my speed in my car? Naturally, I wasn't thinking about driving. I wasn't thinking about speeding, but like the song was rapidly accelerating, right? Like the beat was pumping. And so I sped way too fast. Woo! Right? Like little teeny town in the middle of the desert. He walks up to the window and says, do you have any idea how fast you were going? So my response was, officer, honestly, I totally apologize. I have no idea how fast I was going because I had found this new techno song and I was like jamming out with my kids. And I apologize. I did not even think, but like, I know that the faster the song went, the faster I was driving. I am so sorry. And he stood there for probably what felt like an eternity. And my kids had already rolled their window down in the back and he looked at them and he was like, was your dad like jamming out? And my kids are like, oh yeah. And the guy goes, well, maybe don't listen to that song again on your drive. Have a good night. I'm not saying that because like the honesty that I'm not saying that because like, ooh, I'm so honest, right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because I bet you out of every person that officer pulled over that day, how many do you think told the truth? Like the actual truth. I was probably it. And again,
Yes.
this is not heroic. This is not, like, don't look at me as like a good example because I speed all the time. But the officer respected the truth. He was like, oh yeah, I could. And at some level, he respected the fact that, yeah, there's some songs that I kind of jam out to, and I could probably push on the gas a little. That, right? So that's where the conflict happens, is the idea that we have of ourselves is totally different than who we really are. And when pressure hits, that's when the reality of who we really are shows up. Like, I ask this question when I'm on stage. How many of you fall apart when you are hit with a deadline on a Friday afternoon? How many of you are angry? Dude, I can be. Here's where it comes into kind of company culture. Whose idea was it to spring on everyone on Friday afternoon that there's a deadline Monday morning? I think there might be a leadership misalignment there. I believe that there might, right? And again, things like that happen in entrepreneurship, things like that happen in business all the time. So I'm not talking about like the one-offs where it happens and like, everybody kind of like, corrals together and is like, hey, let's combine and see how we can get this project done. I think that happens one or two times. But the third time, what's the habit response? Rejection. Wait a minute. my manager knew that the last two times, because again, he's establishing a habit for himself. My manager knew that the last two times that he sprung this deadline on us on Friday, that we all rallied together and got it done by Monday. So now all of a sudden employees are like kind of okay with it. They're hoping it doesn't happen again. But if management decides that that's kind of their new like productivity app of I'm just going to spring this crap, like, and it becomes a habit week in, week out, right? Maybe it happens only once a month. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like you're crossing that boundary a little bit, right? I, from an employee perspective, would never respond to you at like 9 p.m. If you texted me or emailed me at 9 p.m. at night and was, like, there's this deadline, whatever, I'd be like, cool. No. It's a choice, right? I totally get it. As an entrepreneur, though, crap, I see the other side, right? So how do you do that? How do you do that in a way that makes them feel like they're important in this partnership too? If the expectation is just, I get to call you whenever I want because I'm the entrepreneur and you're the employee, no. Like that's where culture, you're going to burn them out so fast. And that's why your turnover rate is so high. That's why, like, again, that's why your business isn't succeeding as well as it is. However, if I could reach out to a strategic person and say, hey, I need help over the weekend with this particular thing, I am happy to like either compensate you a little bit more for your, extra work, or what, I'll give you Monday off, come create some kind of, like conducive environment to this. I'll give you an extra day off, in the future. So when you have a 3-day weekend, you can have a 4-day week, something that then makes it feel more like a partnership. I believe that's a character issue as well. Because there's this level of respect that manager, that leader has, right? That they're showing true leadership. This is where habits gets like really fun, right? And the fun for me is I don't particularly talk about like specific habits. Like I don't tell you how to do this, that, or the other, right? I tell you how to basically determine what you're doing now and why it isn't working. Because if you can identify right now, I don't like the results I'm getting. Why am I getting the results? Well, because every time there is some version of chaos, which boy, it comes in all forms and shapes and sizes and whatever. And again, I'm not a political person because I don't have the tolerance, but like, if you watch the news every day, all day long, I can tell you your attitude is going to suck because it's things out of your control, and anything and everything can or has the opportunity to make you a little bit angry or frustrated. So therefore you kind of like induce yourself into this like frustrated state. So you see why people are like so mad all the time, when in reality, if you went down to your local, I'm going to say like your local, kind of like, town square and picked up trash for an hour, you'd feel better. You would have done something productive for your city, for your town, for your community, right? And you probably would feel better, like you'd have some version of endorphins, for helping and doing and actually feeling like you were contributing instead of just consuming. So all of that kind of like comes into play, where if we look at like when pressure hits, I say this over and over and over and over, habits are tested, not taught. Because I can teach you how to make sales calls all day long, but until you actually test that theory, good luck, right?
Chris, I just want to summarize a little bit what I have learned. So
Please
what you have mentioned is that in order to make good habits, basically you need to know yourself a little bit better. What are your limitations? What are the things that
Totally.
if it happens, you may crack and you will give up. You have to know yourself also, because you are the ones who is going to be designing the habit. It's not, as you say, it's not a book. It's not a recipe where you say, if you do this and that, you will get that. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
There is also the story that you were telling about these iterations. So you are continuously validating the initial habit that you started with a sucky habit, but then you are going to make it better, but you need data to do it. So that's why maybe
Correct.
it's, when people tells you 21 days to in order to change a habit is a little bit
Hmm.
crap, because you need to be validating and reshaping, redesigning, and you have to make it kind of your own. And it's when we
1000%.
summarize these
Yes.
stories of intention, self-awareness, it becomes a little bit complex. And then the big question for
Mhm.
you today is like, you have in the audience somewhere a desperate manager with people. There is a culture that we want to have in the company. We have a team, so it's a little
Hmm.
bit. It looks complex. In fact, it is not. I know the reality, but it looks a little bit a lot of
Hmm.
things. How does this manager can use the power of building habits or habit formation in order to shape a little bit the culture that is cool to be? And let's think about what happens very often in culture: lack of collaboration. That's the usual one.
Yep.
Lack of creativity.
Totally.
People's mental health because they are overcharged with bullshit inside out. The 9 o'clock call happens
Yep.
way too often.
Way too often. Yep.
How can he do? How can he use leverage of this habit formation in order to have a good, awesome culture?
So I'm gonna pick a middle manager
Yeah.
because they've got someone above them and they've got someone below them, right? So a middle manager is kind of stuck in this. There's multiple cultures. You've got the culture coming from the top, and you've got the culture that you're trying to like send out to the bottom, right? And both of those are typically, I'm going to say, aligned, right? They might be parallel on the same line, but they never connect. They
Mhm.
never connect because the message you're getting from the top is different than the message you're sending down.
Indeed.
So the confusion comes into play is the old adage of do, right? You probably heard this. Do what I say, not what I do.
Way too often, by the way.
Way too often, right? So if I wanted, and I'm I'm going to use an analogy that I know very very little about, right? So I don't know much about sports in general. I was a swimmer, so like I know swimming, water polo. Like I'm a like, kind of like a dolphin type kid, right? So I know all of that. I don't know much about baseball, but what I can tell you is if I wanted to be a better hitter, I could watch people who are good hitters. Like that's pretty easy, right? Like there are thousands of YouTube videos where I can literally pop on and watch a video about someone that there's going to be videos about technique. There's going to be videos about, the bat length and the grip style and, whatever. Okay. That's all great. But what do I still have to do? I still have to
Action.
try to hit a ball, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest. If the guys I'm watching, or individuals, if the individuals I'm watching are hitting 80-mile-an-hour fastballs and they're cracking the ball, bam, bam, one after another, after another, after another, after another, what do you think the chances are I'm going to step into the zone and hit an 80-mile-an-hour fastball? Zero chance. No matter how many times I've watched that video, no matter what bat I buy, no matter what shoes I buy, no, it doesn't matter what I do. The chances of me hitting an 80-mile-an-hour fastball, very, very low. So what do? We'll start with someone tossing you the ball underhand and hit it. Okay, like build up some confidence, build up some. Hey, like that wasn't too bad. Throw me another one, right? And then they throw you another one, and you hit that one too. Hey, you know what? Throw me overhand. Then they throw overhand. You know what? Put it in that ball spinner because I've seen them at like the batting cages, and set it for like the slowest setting possible, and let me get good at it. And then when you get good at it, what do? You're totally then you're comfortable to try faster and eventually I could probably within a period of time, right? I bet you 92 days, I bet you I could hit an 80-mile-an-hour fastball in 92 days. because I've built the confidence over time. For managers, especially, here's the problem with culture. There's no trial. There's no attempt to hit they're standing in the batter's box of 80 miles an hour every single day. The pressure from the top is, do this, and they're kind of trying to push it down. The problem is they haven't hit the ball once.
Mm.
So how do we have a connection? How do we have some success in culture that makes me feel like, okay, like that was good. Like I think we could do that again. This is that observation and kind of like that component piece. Identifying someone who is doing what you want to do better than you are doing, right? Like many, many years ago, I have a home in Las Vegas. So Tony Hsieh, there was a book. I don't know if I have it up in my books, but Tony Hsieh wrote an amazing book called Delivering Happiness, because no one can figure out how an expensive shoe store online, Zappos, was doing what they were doing revenue-wise. Like it was like nobody, right? And again, Amazon ended up purchasing them for an absurd amount and retained Tony for the simple reason of he was the culture bringer for the entire organization. And here's what I learned, because I actually met him a couple of times at some events in Las Vegas. I got an opportunity to go to his penthouse and have what he affectionately called a powwow. And what an amazing, he had I'm going to say an entire wall of Post-it note ideas, the whole wall. And every time he had another thought about that original idea, he would put it on a Post-it note and put it on that same little square. And eventually that would transform into another business, another idea, another service, a better way of doing things, so on and so forth. So even him at that level was still, I'm going to say, consumed, maybe a little bit obsessed, right? Like those are great founders.
Oh yeah.
Those are technically great salespeople. Those are technically great engineers. A little bit of obsession. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of obsession. Too much, we all know where that goes, right? But I love the idea that like Tony Hsieh, there's a story, and I'm probably going to get the details wrong, so I apologize beforehand. But Tony Hsieh had an employee who was a customer service agent. Someone called, and on the call happened to mention that they hadn't eaten, or something. And so that agent then ordered them a pizza, had it delivered to their house while they were still on the phone talking about shoes. The reason I bring that up, and possibly the reason I hope I got it a little bit wrong, is because of how absurd it was. What shoe store? What online provider of anything? If you were talking in a sales thing, because again, what was the point? Trying to sell shoes. And they were on the phone call. I believe the call was over 2 hours long. So like that's all of a sudden where you get this like, oh, now I understand they could totally order a pizza in the middle, right? But the culture at Zappos under Tony Hsieh was given the freedom to order and pay for the pizza for this customer. So like, right? Like if we kind of like look at this, I think culture starts from the top, and every employee has some form of like ideation of they want to be the CEO. Sometimes they want to be the manager. They want to be whatever. So I believe from entry-level employees, everyone is looking up. So if I look up and I see my manager say, oh, you know what? When there's a deadline, I want everyone here until 6:30. And then they take off at 5. Because, oh yeah, my wife planned this thing. You don't understand. I'm a manager. Like, I got to go. Good luck, guys. Have fun. I'll talk to you guys. Wait. And I understand that there are like extenuating circumstances where the wife was injured in a car accident. I get it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about every day, right? The manager, how are they acting? Are they acting like a manager, or are they acting like maybe not like a manager? So then you look at the culture below them. What does it look like? It's a mirror. It's an absolute mirror. I have worked for individuals. So as a keynote speaker, I'm essentially hired and fired in the same day. So I go speak, I deliver a speech, and then
But
sometimes they're going to bring me back for the next event, or something or whatever, or maybe they're going to have me do their survey or whatever. I'm going to do a workshop, but for the most part, I go deliver a speech, because a lot of speeches I do are for like associations, so like the association of whatever, so like they don't have like an ongoing need for this. So I'm going to speak and be let go in the same day, because as soon as my speech is over, like I completed my job, I'm done. There have been people that I have met that I would be willing to work for again. And there are a few, I hope they never call me again, because the culture, right, around an event, the pressure for an event planner is immense. The pressure for the CEO or the new CEO to deliver a keynote that like kicks off, for like an SKO, like kicks off this, sales kickoff meeting that the sales jump 20% in the first quarter. Like, I get all of the pressure. It's then, how do you handle that? How does that get sent down? Right? So if middle manager, if everybody above him is focused and like hammering KPIs, what are they going to do? They're going to hammer KPIs. And again, we are not even talking about habits at this point. This is all default operating system. They are not operating from a place of habits. They're simply doing the very best they can with what they have. And I'm not going to judge them. I'm going to say, congratulations, you're doing great. But if you want to be better, if you want to do better, you have to acknowledge how you're leading now, and where you're doing great, where you're doing okay, and where you're really sucking it. Because if you can do that, that presents the opportunity, not the guarantee, but the opportunity to choose to do something different. That presents the opportunity for you to say, hey, you know what? I hate that, that like the culture is this way. I wonder if I tried something new, if, like, again, go back to testing. I wonder if I tried this, if it would change behavior. I wonder if I tried this, and again, this is where culture, if you're not given the freedom to try, right, because of the fear of failure, like, oh my gosh, if you tried that stupid thing, like that you could get let go in a heartbeat, then guess what? Nobody on that organization is going to even, like, you've removed it completely. Where if you remove the fear of failure, like, you know what? I bought, donuts for the entire team. Well, geez, that was $300. Like, that's a lot. Like, did we have increase in sales that day? No. You know what I mean? Because again, up above is going to kind of, so what does it feel like? Well, you know what? I'm going to start randomly doing, and again, this is where the fun comes into play of habits, is when the pressure hits, habits are tested, not taught. So if you test over and over and over and over, all of a sudden, guess what? I guarantee you, if you continue going, you will find success in whatever you're trying to do. That's why I literally say you're like one habit away from whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Just one.
Chris, I love the fact that you have picked the book, or in fact the story of Tony Hsieh, because you have all of the elements of the combination of this guy had crazy rituals. Rituals equal to habits, by the way, in some cases, but rituals that were a little bit crazy, and rituals that were formalizing the type of company that he wanted to have. So equal to the
Correct.
type of person that I want to become when I want to become, to lose weight or whatsoever. What is the type of person? Like, am I a runner? Not because I'm running, but because that's my personality. And there is
Correct.
this element. There is this element
Ivan, you
of,
nailed it. That's it. You just nailed it. That's exact. Like, that is everything I am trying to accomplish in this world is what you just exact. Everything, like, perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself.
and then there is the personality. Yes, he was a little bit obsessive, the guy. I have read what he put in his book, Delivering Happiness, and what the things that he didn't put in the book, people talks about it, but he's a little bit obsessive. But he was walking the talk. And guess what? When somebody who has the higher pay grade are doing certain behaviors, with naturally as
Hmm.
humans, we are miming these behaviors because these are the ones that will allow
Correct.
me one day to get there. A
A
little bit
thousand
of what is
percent.
happening in the world when there is one of the leaders of the world who is behaving like an ass. People starts
Hmm.
saying, "Oh, that's the type of behavior that I should be having in order to be respected," quote unquote,
Yep.
in order to be successful. Chris,
Hmm.
I love that you have picked the excellent example. I think there is no more to say, but I wanted to have that the opportunity for the audience to understand that changing behaviors at the personal level, changing behaviors as a culture, as
Hmm.
an organization, it is possible. How can they reach you out and have a chat with you? And Chris, I love the
So
way you explain things, by the way.
Ivan, thank you. Easiest way to find me is ChristophMerrill.com. ChristophMerrill.com. You can usually find all of my thought leadership resources, tools, articles, blog posts, all that kind of stuff there. And the Habit Freak website is in development because I did a major change to it because we're updating our state of workforce habits to it. And
Mhm.
so you can eventually go either of those two places and find more out about becoming a habit freak, what it means, if it's right for you, et cetera, et cetera. But most of this was thank you for your time and your questions. Like I loved the thought and care that you took to the questions. Thank you.
Chris, one last question. You
Yes.
mentioned some research that you are conducting, and then you got me a little
Uh-huh.
bit excited. You mentioned it at the beginning, but I kept it in my head. When are you going to have some key takeaways? When are you finishing that research?
So the data research is scheduled to be released in the third quarter of this year.
Third
So
quarter.
because I want to make it the most robust like study that has ever been done, um, I we have completed kind of what I would consider round one, and we're going back and going wait. Let's dig a little bit deeper because the idea of basically the state, right? Like I'm very intentional with my words. The state of workforce habits, like
Mm.
that's what I want to know. I don't want to know whether like workforce has habits or not. I want to know what the current state of it is. And the whole goal behind it is being able to have it wide enough that I can then basically have enough industries and enough data to where I have a benchmark. So then, a particular company could contact me and say, "Hey, you know what, Christoph? Like, we want to specifically have our people take the survey, and then I want you to compare that against the benchmark. So other businesses in our industry, how do we stack up from the state of workforce habits perspective?" And that's where it gets really interesting because if you're not aware, right? Like I think most people are aware, like some companies, some cultures, just there's some kind of disconnect, right? They can't figure out what it is. They've tried initiative out of initiative. They've tried this, they've tried that. And guess what? You end up with the exact same kind of trash that you had before. Um, Others succeed. The why is what I can't wait to share. Like I'm so antsy to share this that like sometimes I share things when I'm not supposed to, but my research team has been like, we're not talking about it. Like you could basically just state the name of it like over and over and over and over. That's it. Do stop giving away like, kind of like peaks or you're going to ruin I'm not going to ruin the essence, but they kind of want the findings that we have found. Uh, the results are going to astound some people. They're
Mm.
going to be like, wait, what? Like, what do you talk about? Like, that's not possible. Uh, Sadly and happily, it is. Because again, data is just one component of decision making. Once you have the data, you can actually make an informed decision. The
Mm.
data does not necessarily mean that like everything is bad. It simply is a data point that is like, oh, okay. So those kind of questions, right? Like around culture, around kind of change initiative, right? Like the future of work, all of that. Again, everyone is concerned and or kind of like worried about AI in some form or another. Uh, but in reality, like the average worker, what is the message that is being sent, right? Like, again, I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm just going to cover this real quick. Everybody is concerned of sorts. Is AI going to take my job? Is AI going to replace me? Is AI going to, turn into like killer robots and murder all of us? Like, I mean, we have all sorts of, beliefs or negative patterns around AI because we don't necessarily understand it. However, the interesting fact is what is the employee's like perception around what an individual company is trying to do with AI? Well, I can't give you the results, but I can give you like the general. It changes so freaking often that like they don't care anymore, right?
That's right.
Because every week is because there's a new AI tool or there's a new AI this or the. I'm exhausted. I don't have that like the facts are so fun because some are good and some are bad. Some tell a story that you think you would be like, oh wow, and they don't. And other ones you're like, I would have never guessed that was the way that like I would never have guessed that's how people are feeling. But that's what the data shows. So I'm so like, yeah, I can't wait.
Chris, I cannot wait either. So this is awesome. I'm going to be bugging you as of September, October to have
Deal.
some summary somewhere. I look forward. I wanted to mention that now that you mentioned techno, I'm not a techno
Yeah.
fan. There
Okay.
is
That's
only
okay.
one techno that I can stand and love it. The
Okay.
Prodigy. Are you aware of
Oh
the Prodigy?
yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's, I need this a little bit of metal vibe around techno.
I yep. I got it. I love it.
Chris, it was lovely to speak to you today.
Ivan, it was
Really,
so
thank
great.
you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you, my friend.